So do you want to be an automation god or goddess so you can spend less time working on boring stuff and more time watching YouTube videos like this one? Well, stick around. In this video, I will give you 5 tips that you can use directly to become an automation god or goddess. And the best part is they have nothing to do with programming or languages, so you can apply them for anything you want to do in automation. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Carolyn. I make videos about cloud engineering, software development, and entrepreneurship. I make videos on those topics to help you grow your career and your skills. As always, don't forget to feed the YouTube gremlin by liking and subscribing to this video and hitting the notification bell. Who knows, maybe the gremlin will have something in store for you at the end of this video if you like this video. So click it right now, click the video, feed the gremlin, and let's get started. So the first tip number 1 is, why are you automating something? So let me give you an example. Somebody says, I need all the new hires to have access to this folder, and you're in charge of granting all the new hires through automation access to this folder. Is it really what you have to do is automate so that all new hires have access to this folder? Sometimes it's just as simple as you need to grant everyone access to a folder without having to grant everyone access to this folder. So make sure you understand clearly what you are trying to do. Make sure you understand the bigger problem and you see the bigger picture, because if you don't truly understand why you are automating, you're going to keep automating and automating and automating things that may not even need automation, or you will have to revisit things over and over again, automating them until you die and still not solve the problem in the end. Tip number 2, think about the blue sky solution. Think about, in the perfect world, regardless of what you have access to, what the skills you know or have, what would be an ideal automation system that you could implement? So I see a lot of people thinking very procedurally about the steps and thinking what they need to do to get to the point, but think about the bigger picture. Think about why you're automating, back to my previous point, and try to come up, in theory, you don't have to implement the blue sky, but in theory, come up with the best automation you could come up with, and then build the realistic one from there, which will be a subset of your blue sky option. So it's very important to think about that blue sky option, because it gives you ways to grow your current implementation and your current solution without having to do too much extra work or reworking your existing solution. Tip number 3, think about maintenance. It's something that people who do automation don't think about too much, because we're always like, well, if it's working now, then why do I need to worry about anything in the future? It's going to work. Well, it's not that simple. It will fail. It will not work at some point in the future. There are probably cases where it will no longer work. A new system is brought in place, or a new organizational structure comes in, and your automation no longer fits in that model. So it's important to think about maintenance in the future. All right, the tip number 4 is think about user experience. Yes, automation tends to not have a user experience built around it, but it's important to always keep that in mind. How is somebody going to use my automation to do what they want to do with it? How are they going to take what I built, the tool I built, and use it somewhere else? So that's why it's important to do things like have comments, have variables in your script, or things like that. Make sure that all the necessary things are at the top that you need to change. Make sure that you have a README or how-to or documentation for your tool so that somebody else is able to use it or adapt it to their needs. It's not, automation doesn't exist in a vacuum. No work exists in a vacuum. There's a need to reuse that work. And if you're doing it for anyone, do it for yourself. Document things for yourself. So when you go back a year later or 2 years later, you don't think, what is happening here? I can promise you this will happen. If you write code and you don't document what it says, you're going to go back to your code, you're going to read it, and you're going to be like, what? Who did that? That makes no sense. Because it may make sense when you create your automation, but it may not make sense a few years down the line when you revisit it. And tip number 5, which is a tip that really should go without saying, is make sure you test your automation thoroughly. So automation is wonderful because it can do things very quickly without human intervention a lot of times, but it's also very good at messing up if you don't test your automation thoroughly to start with. So make sure you test thoroughly, make sure you think about all the edge cases that could happen, that the weirdness, like what if there's a forbidden character somewhere, what if a folder is empty, what if whatever. You come up with whatever you can think of that would be an edge case and what could happen. Make sure that if there's an edge case, it at the very least throws an error so it doesn't mess up everything else. It is so easy for automation to not handle an edge case and just go bonkers and mess up everything in your environment. So make sure you think about those edge cases. If you can, test them. If you can't, handle them. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching until the end. As always, make sure you feed the YouTube gremlin by clicking like and subscribing to this video and hitting the notification bell so that you can be notified next time I post a video. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Your automation, think about how they can... Puppies! Again? Sure. Come here, Lynn. Come here.
Come here. You're getting
Come
grounded.
here. See?
Say hi.
Say hi to people. Say this. You can't. I'm recording. When I'm doing this, you can't. Okay?
On groundation.
It's not okay.
You're gonna be on groundation, Looney Tunes.
Okay?
Look
You
up.
too. You too, Lily. Come here.
Lily.
Come here, Lily.
Come here, Lily. Come see. Go say hi.
See? Same message to you. If I'm like this, if I'm recording like this, you can't be playing with your sister and making noise.
You're on groundation, Lily.
Okay? It's not okay.
But Mom.
That's how you make it into the bloopers every time.
But I like it. I'm famous.